Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to explain why Andrew Yang, although I do have a lot of problems with him and disagree with him on many things, is the best candidate at the moment. So, first, he just seems like a authentic guy. He seems like a good personality, someone who actually cares and believes in what he thinks, unlike Elizabeth Warren, who seems like just a power luster, and all those other candidates who seem like more politicians. Yang doesn't seem as much like a politician, which is one very, very good thing about him. I don't think he's a liar like many politicians. All those good things. So that's one thing. Just like his personality, he seems like a very, very good guy. Number two, I think he is a lot more rational on certain issues than other Democrats would be. For example, climate change. I think he has a terrible view on climate change in general, because I think the view that the government needs to be involved with regulating people's life in terms of climate, to sacrifice humans for the climate, is a very, very bad way of viewing the climate. However, I think he has a much more pro-human approach than every other Democrat, because he believes in nuclear. He thinks we should deregulate nuclear. And for that reason, I think he's a lot more pro-human than other people. And yeah, his focus seems to be on not like spending as much money, and not like crippling human energy and crippling our standard of living. He doesn't want to do that. He is a lot more rational with how he wants to solve climate change. While I think the approach in general is wrong, because I think it's not the government's job to be protecting the climate, I think he's a lot more rational about it. Third, I guess, while I disagree with his view on automation and all of that other sort of stuff, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of UBI in the freest possible society, I view UBI as a potentially good transition away from the current welfare state, because I think UBI is a lot more efficient than the current welfare state, and it could be used to get people off of it so that eventually we can cut these programs, and it could be a good transition. Like, for one example, we could look to disability insurance. So these people who are disabled are getting this insurance, but in Yang's system, they wouldn't get the UBI along with the disability insurance. So then these people who formerly in the no UBI system, they would just sit on the disability check and not necessarily go out and find work, because people in those extremely poor states are very risk averse, and going into a job would be extremely risky when they have this guaranteed check coming from the government. So what UBI could do is make that a less risky jump. So then instead of going from like $14,000 in disability insurance to a potential of $0 if they like don't get the job or whatever, they'd be going from 14,000 to like just 10,000. So people would be a lot more willing to take those sort of risks to get off of disability insurance, and eventually we could just cut that program entirely, is my ideal. And the same thing could work with Social Security if it was, but that's political suicide, so I'm not sure he would advocate for that. But in a UBI system, you could get people off of Social Security by replacing it with UBI. Yeah, so while I think UBI would not be the ideal in the end, I think it would be better than the current welfare system, which is far more inefficient. Plus, UBI would avoid the whole problem of, like, once you get to a certain income level, you just lose all the benefits, which disincentivizes people from getting past that income level and getting that $1 extra, which is a very, very perverse incentive, in my opinion. And then the last thing is just the idea of his views on taxation, which are a lot more rational than a lot of the other views of the Democratic Party, because Yang advocates more for consumption taxes, which are a lot more efficient than income taxes or property taxes, since when you tax something, it disincentivizes people from getting that thing. So an income tax, for example, would disincentivize people from getting income, and property tax disincentivizes people from getting property, which doesn't have like super major effects, or doesn't have like super obvious effects right away, but in the macro, when all these little effects are aggregated, it does have somewhat negative effects. So then, yeah, consumption taxes are a lot better because they're a lot more voluntary and just better in general, and it's a lot better than like the ideas of like Warren she has her wealth tax, which is impossible to implement pretty much, as has been, since it's been tried in a bunch of European countries and completely failed. But value-added taxes and consumption taxes are tried, and they usually are a lot more efficient. And while I'm not a big fan of taxation in general, I'd prefer consumption taxes to income taxes, property taxes, corporate taxes, which Yang actually like explicitly wants to get rid of. But he doesn't want to get rid of income taxes because, I mean, you can't really, that's political suicide. But yeah, but I think his views on taxation are a lot better than everyone else's. So those 4 reasons are probably the big reasons that I think Yang would be the best 2020 candidate at the moment. All right, I think that's all I have to say for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.